Hey guys, Nedim Ramic here with another Lunch with a Lawyer live episode. And again, I don't have a guest, but I do have a few guests coming up in the next couple of weeks that are going to be very, very exciting. So stick with me. I was just really busy and was unable to find somebody for today. But I figured I am going to talk about something that's very important to most of us, and that's car insurance and what you should know to protect yourself as well as your family. Now, you may ask yourself, like, why is Nedim talking about car insurance? He's a lawyer. Well, actually, Nedim deals with car insurance once you really need it. So let's assume you buy car insurance today. You are hoping that you'll never have to use it. And, I hope the same thing. Unfortunately, accidents happen. And then the question becomes, well, I've got, car insurance. I should be covered, right? Yes and no. It depends, I guess. What we're talking about. So a lot of people ask me, Nedim, what kind of car insurance should I have? But that question comes after the fact, once an accident has occurred, and then it's just too late. You're stuck with what you have. So let's kind of dig right into it and talk about what the law requires here in Missouri. And, we'll talk a little bit about why it's really not sufficient, in my opinion, and what you should have in order to protect yourself as well as your family. So let's show you here what the law says when it comes to insurance in Missouri. So Missouri law requires that all motor vehicle drivers and owners maintain some type of motor vehicle liability insurance coverage. As you can see, even here on the Missouri Department of Revenue website, they're saying that, unfortunately, each year thousands of Missouri citizens are involved in automobile accidents with drivers who have not maintained the required automobile insurance. And the statistics that I've come across show that 1 in 4 drivers on Missouri roads are uninsured or they don't have any insurance. So that's 25% of all drivers. So the law says that you have to have insurance, and the minimum that you have to have is $25,000 per person for bodily injury, $50,000 per accident for bodily injury, and $10,000 per accident for property damages. The law also requires you to have uninsured motorist coverage of $25,000 for bodily injury per person and $50,000 for bodily injury per accident. So what exactly does that mean, right? Well, it basically means that if you hit somebody, the maximum your insurance is going to pay out for the bodily injuries is $25,000. If you hit a vehicle, or let's assume a school bus, God forbid, and there's more than one person inside that vehicle, the maximum your insurance is going to pay to that other person is $50,000. Unfortunately, I see it a lot in my practice where that is just not enough because of the seriousness of the injuries that those people suffer. And then the property damage aspect of it, $10,000. I mean, there are so many cars on the roads right now that are way more expensive than $10,000. So if you hit somebody whose vehicle is worth more than $10,000, you may be stuck with the excess damages that your insurance will not cover for you. And then the uninsured motorist portion that we talked about here is basically if you get involved in an accident with a driver that does not have any type of insurance, your insurance company is going to cover you as well as your passengers. And as I said, your chances of getting involved in an accident with an uninsured driver are about 1 in 4. So I said 1 in 4 drivers on Missouri roads are uninsured. So, and then we see a lot of those uninsured motorist cases here at our office with car accidents. And so then I get a question, a lot, as I said, after the fact. Well, Nadeem, what kind of insurance should I have to, protect myself from something like that happening? Well, let me show you what we've got here. So I've gotten a sample policy, and it's actually my policy, and what the coverages are that I have here, and I'm going to show it to you. So for bodily injury and the $250,000 per person and $500,000 per accident, and then property damages, I've got $100,000 coverage. The next part B are medical payments. Now, what are medical payments? MedPay coverage under your own car insurance policy kicks in if you're involved in an accident and you have got medical bills that you've got to pay. Some people don't have any health insurance, so it's good to have MedPay coverage just in case. MedPay is also good because you are entitled to it no matter who's at fault. So if you're driving down the street and you hit a wall and you've got medical bills, your car insurance cover, is going to cover that. So I've got $10,000 per person, which, God forbid, should be enough because we do have health insurance and there's some, co-pays and deductibles. But the most important part of today that I want to talk to you guys about is this, C, uninsured motorist coverage. So uninsured motorist coverage, as I just said, kicks in if the other driver that causes the accident and causes, bodily injury to you does not have any insurance. And this is the important part: $250,000 per person or $500,000 for an accident, which means if I get hit by an uninsured driver, God forbid, my coverage is $250,000 per person in my vehicle, or $500,000 per accident if there's more than two people in my vehicle, more than one person in my vehicle, I should rather say. And then the other part that's also equally important, or maybe even more so, is this underinsured motorist bodily injury coverage that I've got on my policy. Again, it's $250,000 per person and $500,000 per accident. Now, what does that mean? Well, as I just said, the minimum a driver should have in Missouri is $2,550. Now, God forbid your injuries are so severe that, $25,000 is just not going to be enough to cover your damages. Then your underinsured motorist kicks in and covers those damages that you've suffered. Why is this important to know? Missouri law does not require your agent to sell you underinsured motorists, so you have to ask for it. And at the end of the day, what I've seen a lot, people go into their agent and say, I want the cheapest, what you have, and you're going to get the bare minimum. But at the end of the day, you get what you pay for. So the most important part, what you should see here, is underinsured motorist bodily injury coverage is not that expensive. This right here, $64.60, that's how much I'm paying for that extra coverage. Okay, so take a look at your policy, and you can see that actually, to get much more coverage is not that much more expensive. A lot of people think that, oh my God, if I get, the 50-100 limits, 100-300 limits, 250-500 limits, it's just going to cost me an arm and a leg. And it really is not that expensive. Disclaimer on this one, I guess it just depends a little bit on your claims history, on your driving history. If you've had a lot of car accidents in the past, obviously your insurance coverage is going to be higher, your premiums are going to be higher because you are high risk to the insurance company. And so those are very, very important things to have on your car insurance policy. God forbid, if there's an accident, your family and you will be covered by your own insurance company. As I said, a lot of uninsured or underinsured drivers on Missouri roads. And then the last thing that I wanted to show you is, and I don't think I've added it here to the screen, but let me do that real quick. I think this is it right here. Yeah. So to broadcast, solo, umbrella policy of $1 million. So what does that mean? God forbid, your damages exceed the 250-500 limits. Your umbrella policy is going to kick in and cover the rest of those damages. And basically, nobody's going to come against you for your personal assets. So for example, you hit somebody in another vehicle, and then again, it's a Tesla, so your $10,000 minimum limits are not going to cover it. That person is severely injured. What they can do is they will actually, sue you. And if they win a big judgment against you, that can come out of your pocket if you're not properly covered. So that's why it's important to have these limits that are, that I've just shown you, and, to cover yourself and to cover your family and to cover all the assets that you've accumulated by working hard. So make sure you, review your policy, take a look what you've got, and then talk to your agent. So when it comes to agents and it comes to insurance policy, personal story. My father was with one insurance company for the last 20 years. Okay. Now they started going up, and then he just recently switched. After 20 years with one insurance company, he switched. My father-in-law, on the other hand, he shops around every 6 months. And if that other insurance company is, cheaper, he switches to them. Having said that, keep in mind that if you're switching, you want to keep all the same limits. So you want to compare, apples to apples and not apples to oranges. And so you get those same limits because, another insurance company will say, hey, you're 50% cheaper, but then you look at those limits and you're not properly covered. The other thing is, not every insurance company is equal. So my job here is to, handle car accidents once they've happened. And deal with insurance companies and try to get some compensation for my clients that have been injured in car accidents. And what I've come to realize is that these insurance companies that are on the cheaper end, they're actually much more difficult to deal with and recover damages for my clients. And then we end up, suing the other driver. Now, why should that matter to you? Well, at the end of the day, if I have to sue somebody, I don't really sue the insurance company. I don't sue Geico, Safeco, Progressive. Those are the top offenders, by the way. I have to sue John Doe, who's insured. And how does that affect John Doe? And he has no idea that that's coming, that his insurance company is actually not paying for those damages to the other drivers. He gets a summons, from the sheriff, from the court that says, hey, Nedim has sued you. And you could be in danger of losing way more than the insurance policy that you've got, and that affects your credit rating as well. So in my experience, the more expensive insurance companies are, the better they are. So my personal experience, then again, this could differ from lawyer to lawyer,